There are 20 things I've learned about the Mavic 4 Pro after flying it for 5 months, and in this video I'm going to let you in on all of them. Chances are you don't know at least some of these tips, and some of them could keep you from crashing or losing your Mavic 4 Pro. Tip number 1 is unlocking the max speed on your Mavic 4 Pro. The Mavic 4 Pro is one of DJI's fastest drones. It can go up to 60 miles per hour, but by default that speed isn't unlocked in the DJI Fly app. So to unlock it, we'll just go here into our settings, come over here to controls, click on gain and Expo tuning, and then we'll come over here to sport mode and increase the max horizontal speed all the way up to 60 miles per hour. And now you'll be able to fly your drone at the full speed. Tip number 2 is explore mode. To switch into explore mode, you'll just go here to your mode switch and switch from normal video mode to explore. And what explore mode lets you do is just zoom straight through the different cameras and record as you do that. So you can just very easily zoom right into the max zoom, get a nice close look at something, and then easily zoom out to go ahead and fly somewhere else or find something else to zoom in on. Now, I believe they have added in a recent firmware update the ability to zoom between cameras in normal video mode, but I don't believe that that allows you to record while you're doing that. So this is great if you just want to, as the name says, explore with your Mavic 4 Pro, get a close look at things, zoom in on them, and record all that into one seamless video. Now, you can't shoot in D-Log in this mode or in 6K, so there are definitely some limitations, but it's a cool feature for when you're out just flying for fun. Next up, tip number 3 is setting your gain and Expo tuning settings. These settings affect how the drone reacts to your stick inputs, and they make it much easier to smoothly ease in and out of drone moves and all in all get smoother drone footage. So to access these settings, we'll again go into our control menu to control and again go to gain and Expo tuning settings. Now I am going to briefly run through all of the settings here, but you don't have to keep all of this in your head because I put all of my gain and Expo tuning settings as well as all of my camera settings for getting the most cinematic shots with the Mavic 4 Pro into a PDF checklist that I'm giving away for free, and the link to download that is in the description. But just to go through these settings, I just leave the settings for Cine at the defaults. I don't really use Cine mode a whole lot. Then in normal mode, I have max horizontal ascent and descent speed all set to the max. Then max angular velocity is set to 75 degrees a second, yaw smoothness is at 15, and brake sensitivity is at 100. Then under Expo, up down is set to 0.25, yaw is set to 0.15, and pitch roll is set to 2. And then under gimbal, max control speed for tilt is set to 15 degrees a second, tilt smoothness is set to 10, max roll speed is at 10 degrees a second, and roll smoothness is also at 10. And I have adaptive camera motion set to adaptive rather than fixed. Setting this to adaptive basically makes it so that the drone will slow down how fast it spins and how fast the gimbal tilts when you're using the 3X and 7X cameras, which makes it way easier to accurately point them in the right direction and get smooth shots with the telecameras. If you set this to fixed, you're going to have a very difficult time getting smooth shots. So make sure to keep it set to adaptive. Then scrolling back out to the top here, we'll switch over to sport mode. Again, we'll want our max horizontal ascent and descent speed all at the max. And then max angular velocity is at 120 degrees per second, yaw smoothness is at 12, and brake sensitivity is again at 100. And then under Expo, up down is set to 0.3, yaw is set to 0.15, and pitch roll is set to 0.25. And under gimbal, max control speed for tilt is set to 20 degrees a second, tilt smoothness is set to 15, max roll speed is at 12 degrees a second, and roll smoothness is at 10. And again, adaptive camera motion needs to be set to adaptive, not fixed. So there you have all of my gain and Expo tuning settings. Again, download the checklist so you'll have an easier time remembering them and punching them into your drone. Tip number 4 is switching between cameras with one single button on your remote. It's really not super practical to have to tap on the screen every time you want to switch to a different lens. It's easy to bump the record button or something else when you're doing that. So you can just map this to one of the buttons on your RC2 or your RC Pro 2 if you have that remote. And to do this, we'll again go into our settings menu, come to our control tab, scroll down to button customization, and then we'll select one of our buttons, go to the camera tab, and you'll want to set this to switch cameras. Now, there are a few other options here. You can have switch to lens with high zoom, switch to lens with low zoom, adjust focal length, and those kind of sound like they do the same thing, but they won't let you cycle all the way through the cameras from the 1x camera all the way up to the 7x camera and back to the 1x camera. So if we click on switch cameras, then we can just click one button on the back of the remote, switch between the cameras, and just easily cycle through them. It's much quicker than having to tap on the screen whenever you want to change cameras. Tip number 5 is subject tracking autofocus. Whenever you're filming some kind of a subject like a human being or an animal or something like that, the Mavic 4 Pro will put a little box around the subject. And as you can see here, it will then just automatically keep your subject in focus as you fly closer or further away. So you just don't have to worry about whether the subject will be focused. Now, unfortunately, this will only work with subjects that can be tracked. You can't just select any random thing on the screen and get it to track it, but it is super useful for filming people and things like that. By the way, if you want to learn how to get more cinematic shots with your drone, the best settings to use, how to get smooth cinematic movements, how to compose your shots, how to edit your videos, how to color grade them, and a whole bunch more, I have a completely free 45-minute drone filmmaking training where I share my top 10 secrets to getting cinematic drone shots. Again, that's completely free, no strings attached, and link to it is down in the description. Now back to the Mavic 4 Pro tips. Tip number 6 is cruise control. Now this is something that you actually won't find anywhere here on the screen. You have to go into the settings and map it to a button. So to do that, we'll just, again, go to our settings. Again, we'll come to button customization and select one of our buttons, scroll down and click on cruise control. And this will basically let us start flying and then lock in that motion so the drone will fly automatically. So here I will push forward on my right stick to fly forward and up on my left stick to fly up, and click on our button on the back and cruise control is enabled. It will keep flying that way even though I don't have my hands on the remote. Now I can start turning off to the side here and then click the button on the remote again and it will update cruise control. And now we have our additional move of turning as we fly forward and up, which just makes it all more interesting. And then to stop it, you can just hit the same button or click on the screen. And this just makes it much easier to get long, smooth shots, for example, to speed up in post, or just if you have a hard time holding the stick steady enough to get a smooth shot. Tip number 7 is turning on FocusTrack indicators. Now you can obviously select something for FocusTrack by just dragging a box around it on the screen, but sometimes, for example, when you're tracking a moving vehicle, that can be quite hard to do. So instead you can just click on the FocusTrack icon over on the left side of the screen, and then it will put little green boxes with a plus on anything that's trackable, like a car or a person or anything like that. And then you can just either hit the custom one button on the back of your remote to select the main one, or if you want to select a different one, you can just tap on that icon on the screen and it will enable spotlight mode, and then you can turn on ActiveTrack, point of interest, etc. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, I have some other videos coming out that you probably won't want to miss. So go right down below this video, click on the subscribe button and click on the bell next to it so that you make sure not to miss any upcoming videos. Tip number 8 is color display assist. When you're shooting in D-Log on the Mavic 4 Pro, your footage will look very flat and boring on the remote because you're shooting in a flat color profile that you'll then grade later to get better quality and more dynamic range. But this looks really, really bad and uninspiring when you're shooting. So to fix that, we can just go right down here to where it says 6K 60 D-Log, click on that, open up your camera settings, then right under color profile, you can just flip on color display assist. This will just add some contrast into your footage and make it look a lot more pleasing and inspiring while you're shooting. Tip number 9 is using a wider aperture for sharper footage. One of the nice things about the Mavic 4 Pro is that without using any ND filters, you can just set your shutter speed to 1/60th of a second to get nice and natural motion blur, and then just stop down your aperture to control the exposure. And that's great, I do that a lot of the time, but something that you should know is that at the narrower apertures like f11 or f8, you are losing a little bit of sharpness in your shots. The sharpest range on the Mavic 4 Pro is between f2 or f2.8 and f4, and above that you start to lose a little bit of sharpness. Now, this isn't a huge sharpness loss. Even at f11, you're going to be getting amazing detailed 6K footage out of the Mavic 4 Pro, but if you want the absolute best quality, it's worth using ND filters with a wider aperture. Next up, tip number 10 is disabling downward obstacle avoidance. Now, you might be saying, John, why would I ever disable obstacle avoidance? And you would be right most of the time. 99% of the time, you won't want to turn off obstacle avoidance, but there are a couple situations where it does make sense to disable the downward vision sensors. The first one of those is hand catching from the back of a moving vehicle like a truck or a boat or something like that. Usually if I try to hand catch the drone, even in sport mode, you can see that it kind of fights me and I have to hold down on the stick for a really long time to get it to finally descend so I can catch it and land. And most of the time that's fine, but if you're on the back of a moving vehicle like a truck or a boat, that can make it really hard to catch it and not drop the drone and have it land in the water or something like that. So instead we can go into the settings, come to the safety tab, scroll all the way down to the bottom under advanced safety settings, scroll down to the bottom of that, and then turn off vision positioning and obstacle sensing. Now you will get a little dialog that says, do you really want to do this? Click OK. And now if I want to catch it, I can just bring the throttle down and it will drop straight into my hand with no questions asked. The other time when this can be super useful is if you want to fly extremely close to the ground. Normally, when you descend, the drone will stop about a foot or a little bit more off the ground and just won't go any lower. But when you have turned off downward obstacle avoidance, we can bring the drone down just a few inches off the ground and just go skimming along really nicely and get some really cool shots. Now, you will want to keep a very close eye on the drone, ideally have direct line of sight to the drone and be looking at it. Otherwise, you are very, very likely to crash the drone straight into the ground, and that is not something that you want to happen. Now, you just want to make sure that when you're done with any of these scenarios, you go into the settings and turn vision positioning and obstacle sensing back on, because otherwise not only will it come down into your hand without any hesitation, but it will slam full speed into the ground without any hesitation at all, and that could destroy your drone. Tip number 11 is manual focus peaking. Now, most of the time it works fine to just tap on the screen to autofocus on whatever you want to focus on. But sometimes in more challenging situations, autofocus will just decide to flat out not work. And in that case, you'll need to focus manually. And to do that, you'll just click on the little button that says AF under the camera switcher and just slide up and down to focus from far away to close to the camera. Now, especially on the smaller screen on the RC2 and especially in bright sunlight, it can be hard to see exactly what is in focus. So to fix that, we have focus peaking. To turn that on, you'll just go into the settings, come over here to the camera menu and scroll down under general and you'll find peaking level. You can set this to low, normal, or high. This just controls how strong the effect is. And if we go back to our main camera screen, now you can see that whatever is in focus has a bunch of little red dots on it. Now you can see the background is in focus, and now we can see the tree is precisely in focus right here. Now the front side of the tree only is in focus, now the back side of the tree, and you can just very precisely tell how you should focus the drone. Tip number 12 is vision assist. Many times some of the best drone shots come from flying the drone to the side or backwards, but that's also where a lot of drone crashes come from. And vision assist helps keep you from crashing in those situations. So to find vision assist, you'll just go down to the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Now you might not initially see vision assist, you might see a map or this little compass. You can just swipe left and right to switch between all of those things. And with vision assist, you can just see out of the obstacle avoidance on the drone. So let's say I want to get a nice shot going to the side here, but I don't know what's over to the side of me and I don't want to run into some trees. So I can just look here on vision assist and see that I am a little ways away from the trees and I can fly to the side and get this shot without crashing. Now, vision assist will automatically go to whichever direction you are flying, but you can also pick a side by just tapping on these little arrows. For example, if you want to look to the side before you start flying that direction. And if you're having a hard time seeing what's out there in vision assist, you can make it bigger by just tapping on it. That will bring it up full screen. And again, you can choose which direction you are looking, and you can see your main camera view down in the left-hand corner. Now you might be wondering, why not just use obstacle avoidance? And that's a great question, because isn't it obstacle avoidance's job to keep you from running into things? Well, yes it is, but also obstacle avoidance will sometimes just flat out not work and you run into things, especially if there aren't leaves on the trees. So it's not foolproof, and also this works in sport mode where obstacle avoidance is unavailable. Tip 13 is changing the white balance tint. If we go here into our camera settings, under white balance we can both change our temperature, which is available on pretty much all DJI drones, but we can also change our tint between green and magenta. Now most of the time this isn't going to be super useful if you're just flying outside under natural light, but if you're flying, for example, at night under floodlights around a stadium or something like that, it can be extremely useful to be able to correct a green or magenta cast from artificial lighting. Tip 14 is setting your return to home settings correctly. If you don't set these right, you could crash or lose your drone. Now, to find our return to home settings, we'll just go again into the menu. I know, big surprise. Come over here to the safety tab and scroll down to return to home. Now there's two options, optimal and preset. Optimal will just figure out where it can fly without necessarily going up to a certain preset altitude and try to not run into things. And this can work pretty well, but many times I'll just leave return to home on preset. But in preset mode, you need to make sure that the altitude is above any obstacles, because otherwise there is the potential for it to run into or get stuck and not be able to fly around anything that's higher than the return to home altitude you set. So you'll want to make sure that it is always higher than any obstacles in the area. And I usually just keep it set to 400 feet because I don't want to have to always worry about it. And then we'll find our second really important return to home setting all the way down at the bottom of our safety settings, again under advanced safety settings. And right up here at the top, we have signal lost. By default, this is set to RTH for return to home. This is what you want 99% of the time. If you fly out of range, you want your drone to automatically come flying back to you. But there's one situation where this can actually crash your drone, and that is if you're flying under something, for example, flying under trees or flying indoors. If return to home gets triggered in these situations, your drone can potentially fly up into the trees and crash. I've had this happen, and believe me, it is not fun. So in those situations, what you'll want to do is come in here and switch signal lost action from RTH to hover. And you'll have to click confirm here. And when it's set to hover, the drone will just hover in place until you get close enough to reconnect to it, or it runs out of battery and lands. There is also an option for descend, but I don't know why you would ever use this. I don't want my drone just landing straight down into whatever's under it. I would much rather have it hover until I can reconnect. Now just make sure to change this from hover back to return to home when you're not flying under trees or something like that. Otherwise, you can fly the drone out of range and potentially even lose it because it doesn't come flying back. And I've nearly lost a drone that way as well. And again, not fun. Tip number 15 is grid lines and frame guides. To find these settings, we'll go into our settings to our camera tab and we'll scroll down until we find our grid lines. I always have my thirds grid lines turned on. This basically helps you compose your shots according to the rule of thirds, where you basically split your image into thirds horizontally or vertically, and then place important parts of your image, like a subject or the horizon, on one of those third lines or at the point where two of those third lines meet. And I also like to have my center marker turned on so I can precisely center up subjects in my shot, or even just see exactly where I'm headed with the drone. And then going back into the settings, just under grid lines, we have our frame guides. You can set this to a widescreen aspect ratio or square or all sorts of different aspect ratios, and this will just put little dark bars on the top and bottom of the video feed on your remote so that you can preview what the video will look like in that final aspect ratio that you are planning to produce a video in. And this can just be super useful if you know that you are producing, for example, for CinemaScope widescreen aspect ratio, or for example, for some kind of a square video format. You can frame up your shots in real time while you're shooting so that everything important falls within that space. Now, this will not affect the files that are written to the SD card. They will still be in the full 16:9 aspect ratio. This only affects what you see on your remote, so you can frame things up better. And tip number 16 is advanced ActiveTrack settings. ActiveTrack is one of the most popular features on DJI drones, and you probably know the basics of how to use it and even how to tell the drone which direction to track you from. But there are some additional settings that not everyone knows exist, and to find those, we'll just go into our settings, go over to our control tab, and directly under gain and expo tuning settings, we have our FocusTrack settings. Now, I'm not going to go in super great detail on these, that could be its own whole video, but we can set separate settings for if we're tracking a person or tracking a vehicle. We can set how far away the drone will fly for the inner and outer circles of the control widget, and we can also set how high the drone will fly for the inner and outer circles. And you can also switch between normal camera motion for more smooth cinematic shots and faster camera motion if you want the drone to create a more fast action feel. And then finally, there's near ground flight, which allows the drone to track you at under 6.6 feet, albeit at an increased risk of crashing. And for vehicles, we also have all of these same settings. Tip number 17 is shutter button half press autofocus. This is something that it actually took me a while to find, and it's not something you would really know about unless you happen across it or you watch this video. So as you probably know, you can just tap on the screen to choose what you want to focus on, but sometimes you might not want to have to take your fingers off the remote to tap the screen, and so you can just half press down on the photo button. Don't press it all the way or it will switch over into photo mode. But if you just half press it, it will have the drone autofocus in the center of the frame. And that just allows you to very quickly adjust your focus. And tip number 18 is QuickTransfer. This lets you get footage off your Mavic 4 Pro and onto your phone without having to pull out an SD card or something and connect it to your computer or anything like that. So to take advantage of this, you'll just go to your phone and go into the DJI Fly app and make sure you have Bluetooth turned on your phone, and you should see a little box that says QuickTransfer in it with DJI Mavic 4 Pro, whatever your Mavic 4 Pro is. Click on that, then you'll click on the device that you want to connect to, then click join to join the Wi-Fi network, and it will bring up an album of the footage that is on your drone. Then you can just click on a particular shot and watch through the footage, or you can go ahead and click on the download button to download it to your phone. Tip number 19 is overexposure warnings. To turn this on, we'll just go to our settings, go to the camera tab, and just above our grid lines, we have overexposure warning. If we turn this on and go back to our main camera page, you can see that it just puts these little zebra stripes on anything that is overexposed and too bright. And this can just be a super easy way to be alerted when anything in your shot is getting too bright and you're in danger of clipping your highlights and losing data. Tip number 20 is vertical shooting with the full gimbal tilt range. Now, typically when you have the camera on the Mavic 4 Pro in vertical shooting mode, you can only tilt the gimbal about 10 degrees up or down, and it will tend to get bumped around if you fly too fast forward or backward. But if you want to be able to use the full gimbal tilt range, you can just switch the camera back to horizontal, then go into your resolution settings and switch from 6K over to 4K 9:16, and this will take a vertical crop out of the full height of the sensor. You won't have as wide of a field of view as flipping the camera to vertical, but now you can use the full range of up and down gimbal tilt. And you can do the same thing on the 2.5 and 6 times telephoto cameras, except instead of shooting in 4K vertical, you'll only be able to shoot in 2.7K vertical. So there you have my top 20 tips to make the Mavic 4 Pro even better. And if you want to learn even more about how to get the most cinematic shots with your drone, I have an entire 12-hour drone filmmaking course where I cover every single part of my process for creating cinematic drone videos. I cover everything from finding locations to fly and film, to the best settings to use, how to compose your shots, how to get smooth cinematic movements, how to edit your footage, how to color grade it, and a whole bunch more. And if you want to check that out, you can go to flyingfilmmakerpro.com, or there'll be a link down in the description. You can click right here if you want to watch a video on my best cinematic settings for the Mavic 4 Pro. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe so that you don't miss future videos just like this, and I'll see you in the next video.